Hello, and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Tea Break Chats with Lindsey. That's me. So, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Lindsey Hall, and I'm an intimacy and empowerment coach. And what that means for me is that my work is all about helping women deepen into intimacy with themselves and with others, really owning their power and their pleasure, and helping you live a joyful life that you absolutely fucking love. And I do that, one of the ways that I do that is with these weekly tea break chats, which is basically like my little podcast. And I come on and I talk about what's been going on in the last week or so for me, kind of like a week in the life of an intimacy coach, and share life stuff, lessons, hardships, how I've gotten through it, how I've shown up, that sort of thing. And then I answer your questions. So honestly, this one is probably going to be a little bit short, although if you watch these regularly, you'll know that I say that sometimes, and then I end up chattering on, so don't ever take that for gospel. But I'm also fidgeting a lot today. My brain's a little bit all over the place, so you are getting very much like real time, real life here. I went to visit a school this morning to do a school visit for my kids. And that in and of itself has lots of, like, there's just a gajillion things to think about. And then as I am co-parenting and single parenting, co-parenting, there's more that comes up with it there. Hi, beautiful. So, yeah, I'm feeling, I'm just a bit, I'm a bit frazzled from all of that, and just I guess I want to talk about the real time parts of this in terms of, in addition to so happy you're here. So in addition to like all the brain fuck that comes with choosing a school for your kids, which let's not even get into that because I've just been talking about that for like the past 4 hours. There's all of that, but honestly, when it comes to big decisions about stuff like this, it brings up a lot of emotions for me as well. Because, so if you don't know the backstory, I 50-50 co-parent with my kid's dad. So we split their time 50-50. And we co-parent quite well. You know, you will see me on here sometimes. I try not to talk about him and our relationship very much because frankly, because he doesn't want me to, because that's private stuff. But when I do ever mention it, it's usually to say how well we co-parent, because we do. And like this past weekend, my daughter had her fourth birthday party. And so my co-parent and his partner and their kids came over here, and we had a great birthday party. And it's like, oh, well done us. And isn't that great that we can all spend time together as a blended family and spend the afternoon together for the kids. And they were so excited to have their stepsisters here playing at our house. And, all three of us adults got on so well, and like, yay us. And that is yay us for sure. Like, I do not want to downplay that. I'm really proud of us for being able to do that. And not just do it but do it well. We actually get along and had a nice time together. But also, co-parenting is hard, guys, sometimes. And so stuff like big decisions like school, we don't necessarily do together. So this is something like the picking schools is something that we absolutely, we don't not communicate at all, but we don't sit down and do the what dreams and visions and hopes do we have for our kids' futures and all of that stuff that, let's see if I can even say this without crying. I can feel tears welling up. That comes up when you are, in a relationship, in a romantic relationship with the parent of your children. That's the stuff that you can talk about. You can talk about what you want for your children, what's important for both of you. And I'm not, I've seen my friends go through these school decisions too, and I know it's not easy for married couples either. Friends of mine just moved their 6-year-old in the middle of the school year from one to another. And they went through kind of months of agonizing over this. So I'm not saying these decisions are easier with your partner, with the other parent, but you're doing it together. You're in it together. Whereas I, with stuff like this, come up with this feeling of, rather than feeling like we are parenting together, it feels like we're parallel parenting. So both of us are in our own little world, trying to make these decisions, trying to weigh up what's big and important to us. And then we come together with kind of our like executive summary each in terms of what we think is the best and what, and then we try and match that up where we can. But like I said, it brings up a lot of feels, and it brings up a lot of sadness for me, in that I wish it was different. If I'm being totally honest, I wish it was different, and that we could have all of the background conversations together. And I wish we could really talk about what's important to each of us and what we feel is important for our kids. But that's not always the case. And so I guess I am sharing this here. Well, A, because it's fresh on my mind, because this is a today thing. But B, because I want you to know that, and I've talked about this before, where like things are not either or. Things are not good or bad. We don't have this like it's this or that world that we often are kind of raised to think that. And this is a big part of what I've been learning in all of my development journey, is being able to hold multiple things at one time, and that multiple things can be true at one time. So yes, I co-parent really well with my co-parent. We co-parent really well. We do birthday parties together. We communicate pretty well about the daily stuff. He lives nearby. We drop stuff off at the other's house. If a kid forgets a toy that they want, or the wellies are at the wrong house, or this or that, like we do all of that stuff really well and celebrate that for us. And I am so happy that that's the case. And with each of us individually, we are happier people since we have split up. My 6-year-old asks me sometimes about why we've been split up now for coming up on 4 years, actually. And my oldest one will ask still sometimes about like why we made that choice or why we don't live together. And I can wholeheartedly say that we are happier people by being apart, and that is the best thing for our children. All of that is true. And it's also true that sometimes I get sad still, nearing 4 years later, that we don't have that cohesive, all of us in the same house living a happy family life, or even if that wasn't the case, that we were co-parenting, but in a deeper way. We co-parent very well, kind of surface level. And yes, sometimes it makes me sad that we don't get to talk about these big things for our children together. Literally every time I've said that just now, the tears well up in my eyes. So like I said, I'm sharing that so that you know that all of that can be true at one time. And none of that changes how I go forward with all that stuff. So I guess then the useful bit, so the useful bit number one is to know that if that's, whatever your circumstances are, it's, and whatever picture I portray in terms of our co-parenting, like it's always more complicated and nuanced. We are good co-parents, and also I wish we were more. So it's useful to know that you're not alone in that. Also, if you don't even have like that good day-to-day co-parenting, that's also, you're not alone in that either. That's not uncommon either. But anyway, useful bit number 2 then is, so what do I do with this? So I've now got, I've got this big decision, looking at changing schools, all of that stuff, and we don't do how I want it to go. I don't have that co-parent relationship that I wish I had. So now what? Because that can't stop me from making the decisions that have to be made. And it does short term. So short term, I let the feelings come and I get all up like in my head, and I can feel the feelings in my body, and I get like, I can't make this decision because I wish my co-parenting relationship was different. Okay, and you can't not go forward with the thing because you wish something was different. You can't let that stop you. So how do I deal with that then? And I deal with it, first of all, by recognizing it, by letting myself feel these feelings and not making that wrong. So for me, so trying to tamp that down and pretend that bit isn't there and just powering through, I used to kind of do that, and I couldn't figure out like why my brain wasn't letting me make these decisions. And it's because I was trying to just stomp that out and be like, don't feel that thing, just do it. And actually it works a lot better if I let myself feel that emotion first. Feel the sadness. I have cried a little bit this morning. I'm not going to cry here now in this video, hopefully. But I let those tears come. Let myself feel the sadness. Let myself grieve over what I wish was the case and isn't, and the past dream that I have let go of that past dream so many times. And you've got to keep doing it. All of this is the continuous work. So I will continue to do that. So I will grieve what isn't. I will grieve what I wish had been the case. I will let myself feel those feelings. I will cry. I will talk it out with other people. And then when I have let myself process that emotion, then I can put the emotion aside and get on with the decision making. Then I can. And I've already been doing this. This is happening in real time. So like I said, I cried a bit about it earlier. I voiced that was the sadness. That was how I was feeling. And then I'm also doing the getting on with decision making. So I've got a friend who is a ex-head teacher and knows the Sheffield schools pretty well. So I've just been over at his house chatting to him about the schools, really just word vomiting all the school stuff. But I did with him a big part of what I would like to do with my kid's dad. But if I can't do it there, I can do it somewhere else. No, I cannot with my friend who's an ex-ed teacher. That's not the bit of okay, so together we decide what's important for our kids. Together we decide what we see in their future. I can't do that bit, but I can do the let's talk through the logistics. I can talk through the pros and cons of each school. I can talk through the movement up to secondary school. I can talk through all of those pieces. And I'm a verbal processor, so sometimes my sadness with these big decisions just comes from I don't have anybody to talk it through with. I wish it was their dad, but it's not. But I don't have anybody I feel I can do that with. And so sometimes that feels that way. I don't even have, it's not an old or a new partner. I got nobody. Whereas that's not true. So find somebody. So in this case, I did it with, I've done it twice this morning. But yeah, so with this friend, so we can talk through all the logistics pieces. And then I can process all of that bit down. And then I can take, like I said earlier, the executive summary to my co-parent. I've been able, once I can work through that, then I can go and say, it's this bit, that bit to consider. Another really important part. So there was the feeling the feelings. There was the talking it through with somebody. There's also nervous system regulation. Oh my gosh, is this important? So with all of this stuff, really coming back in tune with my body and regulating my nervous system. I was feeling all the anxiety this morning, and really just feeling all uptight and and as soon as I start to feel anxious about one thing, my brain then goes to all the other things. So it was I have this school visit that I was going to have to do on my own, which was making me uncomfortable. And then all the follow-up of the school visit stuff, all these thoughts and decisions. But then my brain went to, and you haven't done that yet, and you haven't done that yet, and you've got that coming up, and you're not ready for that part, and why haven't you done that? My brain just goes to that. So, calming my nervous system. So, first of all, dance party. If you are hanging out in my space for more than 5 minutes, you know that I'm a big fan of dance parties for a ton of reasons, but a huge one is nervous system regulation. So I turned on, today was Michael Franti and the Spearheads? Something like that. And danced out to some good old reggae. Glad to know you're not the only one. Absolutely not the only one ever with this stuff. So yeah, I really danced out, and immediately, that doesn't take it all away, but it helps huge with just taking away the immediate frozenness in my body. Because I was oh my God, I'm so stressed about all the things. And I couldn't stay in that point. So turning on that music and dancing around and moving my body, it brought me back down. That did a huge bit. And then I sat down and I closed my eyes and I did some breathing. Then I got my essential oils. I made an anxiety essential oils roller mix. I don't even remember what's in there. If you're interested in which oils are in my anxiety mix, I do have them written down so I can look it up and tell you. But I rolled my anxiety mix on my wrists and on the back of my neck and let myself calm a bit more that way. All of this to help me get into a place where I can stop operating out of the trauma response and the anxiety and the because that is not the place in which anything good comes from. That is like I was in that like the frozen, fidgety state. So all of these things, brought my nervous system back down, helped me focus on, okay, I can't do all the things that my brain was like, you haven't done this, that, and the other. I can't do those all at once. I can't fix all of that all at one time. But I can do the next thing. And it cleared my brain enough that I was like, okay. So all this was happening this morning, and it was like, go to the school visit. Look up, I was freaking out because I didn't know where to park. Look up Google Maps and find out what street to park on. And actually, in my case, I was able to call my co-parent on the way over there because he's been to this school before. And I was able to call him and say, where do I park? Where do I go in? And so he could tell me those logistic bits. I was like, okay, I know where I'm going. I just have to go and do the visit. That's the next bit. The next bit. So by calming my nervous system, by regulating my nervous system, it lets me focus on just do the next bit. And if I keep doing the next bit and the next bit, eventually the bits will get done. But trying to sit there and go, but all of them, not helpful. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. What's my summary of all of that? It was the feeling of the co-parent stuff, the feeling sad and acknowledging that those feelings are legit, the grieving, and then the, okay, and now what the fuck do I do about it stuff, which is feel the feelings, regulate your nervous system, separate the emotion from it, and get on with the decision making. And then in my case, I will go and communicate with my co-parent. At that point, we will, between us, come up with some kind of decision. It's probably going to take us a little while. You might hear me talking about schools again in the next few weeks. We've got to put in our youngest daughter's school application a month from now. So we have a month to make this decision, basically. So you might hear about it again. But that's how to handle all of this in real time. So there you go. Okay, I'm going to move on. The next question, the first question I had, the question that I had this week was, and I love the way it was written, it was like, ooh, heck! So, which I want to say is so Yorkshire, but actually I know that this question didn't even come from a Yorkshire person. This question came from an Irish woman living in London. But, ooh, heck! I just got divorced, and I don't even know where to start on my dating journey. And, y'all, this question was made for me, which, I mean, she knows that. She knows this is my jam, which is why she asked it. But, right, so, you can see my face change. I love talking about this stuff. Okay, so, you got divorced. You don't know where to start thinking about the dating thing. How do I start? Excellent question. You start by, first of all, getting yourself in the good spot. Getting through, processing the divorce. Getting through that stuff. You do not go straight into dating when everything is still messy and upheaval and like a big old clusterfuck inside of you. You do your stuff first as much as you can. There's no done. So I'm not like sort yourself out and once you're finished and complete, then go date. Absolutely not, because there's never a done with any of this. But you get yourself straight on processing your feelings from the divorce, from the breakup, processing the lessons, reflecting on what happened, taking responsibility for your parts and passing back responsibility for the parts that are not yours to take on, and doing all that. When you then think, okay, I think maybe I'm ready to like tiptoe into dating, or maybe you're like, fuck tiptoeing, I'm ready to like, do why have I just completely gone mind blank? What's it called when you go into the pool? Cannonball. Maybe you're ready to cannonball into the dating world. But whatever it is, I think that the first thing that I want to stress, and I feel like I say this all the time, but it is so worth repeating all the time, is that I want you to see dating like a big adventure, like a massive experiment where you have just come out of a long-term relationship. Whether you've been married for a year or 20 years or, whatever it's been, or even if you weren't actually married, but you've been in that relationship, whatever it is, you've been in this relationship and you have preconceived ideas about the person that you were with. And therefore sometimes people come out being like, I want somebody who's just like that, but better, or I want somebody completely opposite from that or whatever. But I want you to scrap those ideas that are in your head. I want you to completely wipe the slate clean and go, I'm going to go into dating as a massive adventure and experiment and find out who I like and who I don't like. Because first of all, you've done that work on yourself. So the first thing is finding out who you are, what you like and don't like. Rediscovering yourself is absolutely the first crucial step. And then once you are ready to bring in another person to this mix, then it's the same kind of thing, but with another person. Then it's like, oh, who's out there? How do I like to be treated when I'm dating? Where do I like to go? Like, you might find by going on dates with lots of different people and keeping a very open mind to it, you get to really experiment. And rather than having, like, limiting the field because you think you know exactly what you want, but actually you might be shutting the doors to something super, super wonderful. And so I really want you to go into it open-minded. Go into it with, go on dates with lots of people. Start chatting to lots of people. Go on dates with lots of people at first. And really let yourself be open to the possibilities. You will quickly, and it won't take tons of time, but you will very quickly take all of that data and start to narrow the field. You will very quickly be like, oh, that didn't work for me at all. Or like, oh, that was really cool. I want to try something like that again. Or, so when I'm saying like go on dates with loads of people, I don't mean like this is going to be forever and ever, but it might be. But the point is, keep an open mind, experiment, let yourself discover who is out there, and let it be fun in the process. And the other really important thing about that is it starts to help you hone in on your yeses and your nos. So at first, like when I was first doing this, everybody who I went on a first date with, if they were all right, I'd go on a second date with them. Because I was like, yeah, you're all right. There's, no reason to not go out again. So let's do that. I'm thinking like, maybe you're going to grow on me. Like I didn't not like you. So maybe this attraction is going to grow. Let's find out if it does. And that was my approach. And so I would go like, if the first date didn't suck, we'd go on a second date. And if the second date didn't suck, we'd go on a third date. And over time, that started to narrow because I got more clear on what felt good and what didn't. So I got more clear. At that point, I wasn't clear on my yeses and nos. Most of them were like, I don't know. Why not? As opposed to the experiment process let me get clear on, oh no, that's like, I came down to, if it's not a fuck yes, then it's a fuck no. But I didn't know what a fuck yes felt like until I had my first fuck yes. And once I felt that, I was like, oh, that's what it feels like. Oh yeah, all you other people, all those other why nots, yeah, you're no's. Because you're definitely not a fuck yes. So therefore, by default, sorry, but you're a no. But I couldn't know that at first. I had to start to hone my practice of figuring out my yeses and my nos and really honoring those. And that only comes with time and practice. So that's where to start. Is there anything else? The starting is doing your own stuff first, really doing your healing, really rediscovering you. That can take a very short period of time. That can take a really long time. There is no timeline on any of this. But start with you. And when you are ready to bring another person into the mix, because when you bring another person into the mix, also, let me just tell you, things get messier. You do all of that work on you and you think you're all good and like, yes, I've done my healing. Look at me. And then you bring another person in and you're like, this is messy. They trigger stuff in me that I didn't even know was going to be triggered, or I thought I'd healed that part and that actually came up again. And that's okay. That's part of the process too. All of this is never ending. All of this is part of the continuous work. Going back to what I was saying at the beginning, where I have grieved the loss of that family vision already. I have released that several times, and it still comes back sometimes, and that's okay. This is continuous lifelong work. It lessens over time. It reduces its power over time. But so it's the same in dating. Like, you're going to do some of the healing work. You're going to figure out how to show up differently and like rewrite old patterns and really rediscover you. And then you're going to date somebody and you're going to start to lose a little bit of you again because you fall back into that old pattern. But this time you'll go, oh wait, hang on, I recognize what's happening. And you'll pull yourself back into you and your power. And then you'll date somebody else and you'll go, oh, I can feel that old pattern. Like, you pulled away in a way that my ex used to. And so my anxious attachment grabs onto you and it's like, hold on quick. And then but you'll notice, you'll go, hang on. We've learned about this. We want to do that differently this time. Give it some breathing room. And so as you bring another person in, it just creates more and more opportunity for you to keep doing your stuff. And it gives you the opportunity to learn how to do relationships differently and to learn these skills that we didn't learn before. And most of us didn't learn in our first marriages. Hence why you're now in the dating after divorce situation. But this is the chance where you get to learn from that and you get to practice new skills and do it differently. So I hope that was helpful. The other thing, and thank you for giving me such a clean segue here, which I don't always get, but I'm going to take this win while it's here, is if you are new to dating, if you have gotten divorced and are new to dating, I am launching a 6-week dating after divorce program that starts this coming Sunday. So aren't you lucky if you are watching this between now and Sunday? You have a chance to get in on the first group program that starts on Sunday. That is Sunday the 12th of November. So the 6-week program that I'm doing is in collaboration with Kindling Dating. And it is a series of pre-recorded videos and live coaching with me. It's a mix of practical stuff and mindset stuff. You get exercises, you get teachings, you get, like I said, chance for you get live coaching with me every week. You can have your choice of group setting or one-to-one setting. And in 6 weeks, we are going to really revamp your love life. And I cover things like the reflecting on the past, releasing the past. I cover things like how to come up with a change in your mindset for what you want, pulling in your dream relationship, really look at how you want to feel, being open-minded. I talk about this whole see it like an adventure and experiment. Just loads of stuff, like everything that I know about dating and relationships, I crammed into this 6-week program. So if you're interested in that, you can get the info on the link in my bio on Instagram, Facebook. I will put the link in the comments bit on the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube. There will be future rounds of it. So, if now's not the time, but you're like, oh my God, I don't want to miss out. You're not missing out. There will absolutely be future rounds. I don't have the exact dates yet. My initial feelings is that it will be sometime early the new year. But if you want in on this round and you want to have it all done and dusted before Christmas, then do that now. The group starts on Sunday, the 12th of November. We will wrap up before Christmas, which means you can go into the new year all set to absolutely boss the dating world. So yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to say. You can see how my energy changed over the course of this. That is another tip, is that when you are about this stuff, do something that you love. Change up your energy, do something that you love, and it will change your whole vibe. Obviously, this vibe now is very different than the one that I started on. So that's it from me for this week. I will be back again next Wednesday. I do these every Wednesday. If you've got a question for me already that you want me to answer for next week, send it to me in whatever form that you please. Otherwise, I put up a story box, like a question box on Tuesdays on my Instagram stories, so you can send me a question there. And if you want to talk about any of these things at any point, let me know. You can email me, hello@lindseyhallcoaches.com, or find me on all of the social medias at Lindsey Hall Coaches. Okay, I love you all. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your co-parenting. If that's where you are at, I'm sending you huge hugs and loves. And if you're choosing schools, oh my God, it's a mindfuck. But know that there's no right or wrong answer. We can do this. Yay, parenting. Okay, I love you all.